Hello there, Brick Fanatics. What time would you say that it was? Because depending on your perspective, it might be time for the results of the latest LEGO Ideas review. It might be time to sit down to tea. It might be time to phone home. Or if you're feeling particularly adventurous, you might say that it's morphin' time. Brick Fanatics! I don't think that I can talk through this list any better than the LEGO designers did themselves at Fan Media Days this year, so I'm going to turn the time over to them as they all make their announcements, and there will be whooping and cheering and all kinds of hollering from the crowd as we all get very, very excited to see what's coming next for LEGO Ideas. Bear in mind though that the amount of noise in the room at Fan Media Days doesn't necessarily translate one-to-one to the amount of actual excitement for these sets. So for example, you have something that's relatively subdued, and then you'll get some really interesting questions from the Q&A after that, and we'll have the Q&A right at the end of this video for anybody who wants to stick around for that. In the meantime though, here are some members of the LEGO Ideas team announcing a bunch of cool stuff that we will be getting in the future of this theme.
We have a lot to announce, so I'm going to let them help me. Of course, we introduced the parking lot fairly recently, which has been great. So what we currently have in the parking lot is Downton Abbey and this camping fire. Marina, do you want to take some words?
So the LEGO Ideas team has the pleasure of inviting you over for tea or a luncheon. Make sure to wear white tie and bring your butler, because we're bringing out of the parking lot and into our building tables Downton Abbey, Highclere Castle. It was created by Bro3. We really love the amazing details he put both in the exterior of the building and also in the interior, all the iconic rooms from the show. Also the amazing lineup of characters that we loved or despised throughout the seasons. So stay tuned for the grand Brick finale, streaming soon from LEGO Ideas.
Yes! Then on to the actual review announcements from the previous gate. I believe Dave?
Me?
You up first?
Yeah.
I think you
So
are.
this next one, which is not on the screen yet, it was the first movie to gross over $700 million at the box office. It was the highest grossing film of all time from 1982 until 1983. I'm glad you guys are all holding your phones because E.T. is phoning home. By Laugh a Brick. E.T. by Laugh a Brick. Sorry, I can't leave him out of this. He's great. I love him, the fan designer. He's great. Great guy.
Yeah. And then we have something a little bit different. So we actually have our newest designer, Jim, here to announce the next one.
So the next set making it through the review from Dia de los Muertos is La Catrina.
No! I'm sorry. I'm excited.
This super elegant design by Yop1172 is really exciting for all of us, and we're really excited to bring this elegant figure from Mexican culture to life with Lego bricks.
Chris, it's you, I think, next.
Yeah. So, they're 3 apples tall. They live deep in the forest in a mushroom village. Yes, we are bringing the Smurfs to LEGO Ideas. We were really inspired by the charm of the Half-Blood Barons, Half-Blood Barons mushroom village, and yeah, we really wanted to bring that to LEGO Ideas.
There we go. Dave, you're up again, I think.
I know it's early, you guys, but I hope you're hungry because thanks to fan designer McDudd, we are serving you guys lunch.
Whoa!
Yes. It's the ramen bowl.
It is the ramen bowl. Yeah. And then we have another one bringing it all the way back from my childhood, maybe some of yours as well. This was a super influential TV show back in the day, kind of the original Avengers, I'm going to call it, where you have different colors of action heroes that all come together to make one awesome. So we're going to go back to Angel Grove and bring the Power Rangers Megazord to life. We've done Voltron before, so this is the next big challenge to make this even better. So we're very excited by that. And then
Let's see.
we also have a couple of things that we're moving into the parking lot just because we need a little bit more time to go through the process here. So the first one is the Daft Punk concert by Robot Rock. So this is going to be moving into the parking lot so we can have a little bit more time to evaluate it. Then we also have the Golden Girls by Martin Studios going into the parking lot. And finally, The Old Man in the Sea.
That's beautiful.
By Ian Hatt. This is a super beautiful way of kind of expressing novels and very famous iconic stories. Dinosaur Line.
In case you couldn't tell, some of the people in the room were very, very excited by some of those announcements. But as mentioned, just because the reaction was relatively subdued for some of these, it doesn't mean that people weren't also very, very excited about them. It just depended on which of these sets appealed to which people. For example, you've got things like the Ramen Bowl, which maybe didn't get quite as much of a whoop and a cheer as some of the licensed IPs, but then it was the first thing that people wanted to know about once the floor was opened up for questions. What's more, if I can give you any piece of advice looking at all of these announcements, it's that you definitely shouldn't get too attached to the specific manifestation or representation that the fans have created for their initial submissions, because those fan designs are going to change an awful lot between now and when these sets actually release. Some of them more than others. I can imagine that there is going to be significant changes to the Downton Abbey set, for example, because there generally is. It's a beautiful looking building, but I imagine that the LEGO Ideas team are going to finesse that and change that, work around the structure a little bit and make it something which is potentially going to be a lot easier to put together, use different parts depending on what is available, and will maybe have a different kind of scale or size to it. You don't know at this stage. That's something that they're still working on. Another one that's definitely going to change significantly, and you'll hear more about this if you stick around to the end for the Q&A session, is La Katrina, because the fan design for that one is apparently almost a meter tall and is just way too big. So apparently the LEGO designers have been looking at finding ways to kind of smush down that design without losing too much of this exquisite, beautiful detail here. It's fun to see E.T. here. I feel like that one was a pretty safe bet if you were doing a LEGO Ideas bingo card, because it feels like the Ideas theme is slowly working its way through all of the 80s nostalgia properties that in some way previously appeared in LEGO Dimensions. Smurf Village is one that I think is going to be fun because it's a kind of a Tintin-esque brand, so something else that's a nostalgic cartoon throwback. But then also looking at some of the Mushroom Village houses in the Bricklink Designer program and how exquisite those are and how popular a lot of those have proven, I can imagine the Smurf Village, if done very well, will also excite a lot of people. Everything that has gone into the parking lot here, Daft Punk, Golden Girls and The Old Man and the Sea, these all look absolutely brilliant. I can definitely see all of them having a home in the LEGO Ideas theme, and I imagine there are probably rights issues that the LEGO group is working through here, but the fact that they are in the parking lot suggests that we might well be hearing good news in the future. I just want to take a moment and let us all vibe out for a sec with these wonderful animations from the Daft Punk submission. This is just wonderful. Anyway, I'm beating around the bush here. There is one among all of these that definitely had the biggest reaction in the room. It was saved for last in terms of the announcements of things that were definitely coming for a reason. It is Power Rangers. A lot of people are going to be very excited to get their hands on Power Rangers Lego. I think this is something that since we had the Voltron Lego set, a lot of people have been hoping and wishing for, and now finally it is coming. And the timing couldn't be better for this, because I don't know how much you've been paying attention to what Netflix is doing with Power Rangers at the moment, but if you go on Netflix, you'll see that they've got Power Rangers Reignition. Ooh, what's this? What could this possibly be? It's the original Power Rangers, you know, the thing from the 90s, not the original Super Sentai, but the first Western adaptation from the 90s that's now 30 years old. You can just watch the whole thing, and if you go into a toy shop, you'll be able to find a bunch of these. Wow! Old school action figures that are very similar to the original ones from the 90s. So this one here, my Tommy, this is an authentic circa 1993 Bandai made in China Green Ranger, and then this is what they're doing with the modern ones, and this one is a relatively recent one. These I don't know if you've seen these, right, but they have their human faces, and then it's morphin' time. This one's a bit old, it's not working very well. But it's just interesting that if you go into a toy shop, you're going to be seeing a reintroduction of basically the same kind of toys that they were making 30 years ago for Power Rangers. And all of that being the case, it is absolutely brilliant to be getting Lego Power Rangers, because that is going to work very well with the nostalgic moment that they are trying to create for Power Rangers right now by bringing it back full circle, where we're at the point where people who are very old and who have kids themselves themselves are now introducing their kids to Power Rangers by showing them the same Power Rangers that they had as kids. And then relatively recently with those classic Power Rangers, you've had things like Once and Always, which was a Netflix special that's basically the Force Awakens of Power Rangers, where they got back as many of the original actors as they could, the ones that were still alive, willing to participate and not indicted for fraud, put them back in their costumes and let them have adventures. In other words, the classic 90s Power Rangers are having a bit of a renaissance right now, and this is the perfect moment in time for a LEGO adaptation of the classic Megazord. The only thing, looking at this design, that I would love to see in there, but do not see at the moment, would be an additional 6th minifigure for Tommy the Green Ranger, the best Ranger, don't at me. Even as I say that though, another part of me says, no, don't put Tommy in this set, give us another set with the Dragon Zord down the line. That would be ideal, right? But that would be so much further in the future that it doesn't bear thinking about right this second. None of these, by the way, in case this is unclear, are going to be coming out anytime soon. These are all very much works in progress for the LEGO group. They're going to be redesigning these, reshaping them, retooling them, and turning them into commercially viable products, where right now a lot of these designs are wishful thinking blue skies creations that absolutely would not work as a set that you try and sell to people. I mean, fans of the Bricklink Designer program might quibble on that last point. But anyway, if you are interested in seeing the question and answer session where the LEGO Ideas team talk not just about these submissions and their approval, but also more broadly about the entire LEGO Ideas theme and what they are doing and how they do it, stick around to the end of this video. Otherwise, I will say goodbye to you now. Make sure that if you are going to be purchasing any LEGO from the LEGO website in the near future, that you use the affiliate link in the description or the QR code that is on screen. They take you straight to the LEGO website and we get a percentage of the sale when you purchase through those links. Otherwise, please do all of the rest of the YouTube things. Give this video a thumbs up, hit subscribe and the notification bell. I will see you in the next video.
Saber-tooth tiger.
So many questions.
For a long time, we felt like LEGO couldn't do products that look like food. What's changed?
Yes. So, that has been the case. But we feel like the adults portfolio has grown so much and we see food as a huge passion point that we can really tap into. There's ways that we have to go about this though, to be safe, because even though it's for 18 plus, you cannot guarantee that some kid might not pick this up and see it as actual food. So we've been taking a lot of steps to kind of create new guidelines for how we can build food. So the submission is a great starting point, but we need to develop it further. But it's an awesome new territory for us to explore. Okay.
Hi, I'm Cameron. I was just going to ask, with all of the growing number of projects reaching 10,000 supporters, is there plans to expand the amount accepted each round?
Oh, that's more of a question for Monica.
So I think you'll see that the amount of projects or product ideas that we accept has grown already. So there is a pretty big amount of products launching from LEGO Ideas now versus when I started 7 years ago. That is a little bit of a different amount. But of course, there's also a lot that do not make it through right now. So we are looking into what does the future of LEGO Ideas look like. Because for some people who are not necessarily very active on social media, who are not marketeers, it's difficult to get to 10,000 votes, and for some it's super easy, right? So there needs to be some sort of balance. So that's what we're looking at right now. What does the future of LEGO Ideas? I wanted to use that analogy. Like, one does not just walk into more, right? Just change the 10K sub brand of LEGO Ideas almost. So we need to figure out how to do it right. Yeah.
Just two?
When's Power Rangers coming out?
Well, funny you should mention. No, I'm kidding. We need time to develop it, as I'm sure you're aware.
Yeah.
It's going to be a very complicated model to build.
Take your time, but
I have a question with La Catrina.
Yes.
Because I know that model is actually, because of all the, how he managed to do that sculpture, it's really big.
Very big.
So
Yes.
how do you manage how much can you scale it down and still get the same level of detail that the fine designer did?
That's part of the development process, and so that's what we've been working with. How much can we scale it down to make it, a much more displayable piece? Because Miguel's one is enormous. It's almost a meter tall, which isn't really ideal for displaying in a lot of people's homes. So yeah, with the design team have been working very hard, especially on skulls and scaling them down to still capture that gracefulness, because it is very important that she looks elegant and beautiful as well. So we're doing a lot of exploration, and we have a team of people from Mexico internally that we're reaching out to about color and shape and all that kind of things. So.
Also, I want to say that if you guys manage to still keep it like a large set, that would be so awesome. Because I know that you've been aiming to Mexican culture with Dia de los Muertos and the new altar que salió, the one that came out, but still having a large set with Mexican culture would be something that, at least from my perspective, would be so awesome. So,
duly noted.
Yeah.
Graham?
Hey, Jordan. How do you assign the different sets to people within the team? So, like, are people fighting over sets?
We fight.
Yeah, Thunderdome. We have the Thunderdome.
It's about passion, right? But we also have to acknowledge that I have a team of dedicated designers to LEGO ideas. So even though they might not always be passionate about a specific IP or a specific idea, they still work on it. But if I can make sure that they work on something that they really love, then that's always great, because then they bring so much more kind of passion and details to it, as you'll see with some of the models that we're going to reveal. So, yeah.
And have the designers been picked for the ones you've just shown us?
Maybe. Yeah. Yes. At least some of them. As you saw, there's a lot to go around, and we're still working on products right now. So it's a bit of a waterfall effect. So yeah.
So we've seen other brands who are going to like re-release, like for example games. Nintendo's doing it all the time, and there are many new collectors of LEGO ideas, but they maybe have missed the first ones. So is there any chance that they're going to be like a re-release of older idea set, bring them back to the market? We've seen some of those, and like in Icons and stuff. So is there a chance?
Yeah. Monica?
I'll see. That's a great idea. I'll put that in the roadmap for how we can expand the LEGO Ideas business in the future. It's not currently in the plan right now. There are many, as you would know, because you are the experts in the LEGO brand and the LEGO system in play, that there are many elements that were used back in 2010 when the the Shinkai was launched that do not exist anymore, right? So then it would trigger a need to bring back a lot of old elements. Maybe it's plastic that's not produced anymore and so on. So there is a complication there. We did it for the Saturn V rocket, and we did it for the ship in the bottle as well. So it's not unheard of. But if it happens, it will always be done with respect and to the fan designer who created the original model, if it's through LEGO Ideas.
Wally kind of came back.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Can you speak to how you take on board fan feedback? Because obviously with Ideas, everybody knows what's coming a long time before any of the other themes would have these announcements. How do you go about like incorporating the chatter online into the designs that you're working on?
So you're speaking about like community feedback, or the actual fan designer that we work with?
No, once something has been announced and everybody is discussing it online, I know that you incorporate some things from that you're seeing there.
Yeah.
What's that process like?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously look at comments online and seeing how people react, because we're going by the 10,000 people that voted on that particular idea submission. But then there's always comments like, oh, I wish they would do this, I wish they would do this. So there's some things that we can easily add in. Some things, when it's an IP, it might not always be possible.
I just have to ask this so that it's like on the record. But a lot of fan feedback is when they vote for something that looks amazing, and then when they see the final product, it can sometimes look drastically different.
Yeah.
Can you explain why that tends to happen?
Well, I think the clue is in the name. It's LEGO Ideas. People are submitting an idea. Now, when you have, again, like I said, IPs and things, we ultimately have a partner that we work with, and they have input, and they have the final kind of say on how their product is going to look, because they own the franchise. When it comes to other things, we have a lot of internal guides about stability, safety, quality, all these things that we have to incorporate. So it's not as easy as just, let's take the fan submission and make it. It's a long process, and we have to go through that process for every single model. We almost treat the fan submission like we would a concept model or a sketch model for other projects. So that's kind of the reason for it. Sometimes we get amazing submissions and we don't have to change a lot, or we just have to kind of we get their studio files sometimes and we look into them and how they've built things, but maybe parts aren't available anymore. You know, we constantly cycle through the portfolio of elements. So as Monica said, we might not always have those pieces available because in studio you can use whatever. You can also change the color to whatever you want. So that's where we have to kind of put the design lens on it.
I think it's fair to say that we look at these submissions and see if there's something that the community and the people voted for that really mention as this is awesome. Of course, that's something to keep.
Yeah.
So that we respect what people voted for still.
Thanks. With so many new things coming on tap, is the team going to grow? And have you,
I hope so.
Okay. And have you, Jordan, thought about getting your hands dirty again?
Well, I touched the minerals a little bit. That was the last thing. But I mean, I love building still if an opportunity comes. But I think the team keeps me pretty busy, and I'm also happy for them to. They're the experts.
You were complaining yesterday that we were too annoying and you wanted to build something.
But I do hope the team will continue to grow as ideas grows.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make sense to grow without the product and the portfolio growing. But I keep telling everyone internally, don't take these people because they're the best team to work with. Yeah. Oh, sorry.
Who was first?
Sure.
Jake was first.
Jake from Brothers Brick. So Brothers Brick, fan models and fan creators are kind of our bread and butter. And like you mentioned with the fans, some people are self-promoters and they really get out there and hustle. We get a lot of people saying, can you cover our stuff? And so it's always been a kind of touchy area, but I'm curious if you have any thoughts around the relationship between fan media and the submission voting period versus the kind of reporting on the official products and announcements. Like, what do you think about covering builds, and is it like putting the thumb on a scale, and like how do you feel about that?
I think that's a very good question, actually, because it's that ethical question you need to also, as the Lego group, we need to ask ourselves. We cannot endorse any of these because it's for the fans to vote, for them to tell us what they want. We sometimes do staff picks, but that's more to highlight things that may be like very low down that communicates diversity and different things, and something that's super fun and cool. But we cannot, as the Lego group, endorse one submission over another, right? I think then if you, as a recognized fan media, went out and did it, then I guess it's probably for you to evaluate how does that feel for you, because it could look like an endorsement of some sort, but it would not affect how we pick products, whether a fan media or another would actually go out and in brackets endorse something. We look at a whole multitude of different data points when you go into the review process, and engagement and comments, and this is one of them, obviously, but it's not all of it. So I think, does that answer your question at all? Or
I think so. It's kind of subjective, and we have to ask ourselves, search ourselves.
Yeah.
In regards to all the new projects that are being submitted, a lot of them have to do with IP, some of them more recent than not. I don't know, for example, K-pop Demon Hunters or something, been really big lately. I'm wondering how much the IP aspect influences the ability to create it as a Lego set.
It definitely influences, because then there's an extra layer, right? We have to talk with the partner, and maybe it's a new partner that we've never worked with before, so there's a process there about getting the license and things, and it's not always possible. You know, we have a lot of IPs that don't make it through review, and a lot of people in the fan community will be like, oh, I wish they picked this, why didn't they do this? Sometimes we just can't get licenses, or some people don't want to work with us, which is a bit wild to hear. But that's part of the process. But if we can see things trending, we can maybe get ahead of the curve and already reach out to those types of IPs. But we are seeing more and more. I would like to keep a balance, because we don't want ideas to become an IP-only project. Right? That's never what it was about. So, yeah.
And then a follow-up to that. Say that there is a really great idea, but it's maybe already being worked on as a potential Lego set. how does that just get filtered out immediately, or what if there's like an in-between period? I don't know, this
Yeah.
K-pop Demon Hunter is going to be something. I
feel like it's like
that's your big question there.
we have a review process, and we cover a lot of different things, including design feasibility. So that could be, is this even possible to build? So there's a lot of questions about the Power Rangers, like can we even do this? And a lot of other things that we look at also, like from legal point of view and brand values and all those things. And portfolio conflict is part of that. So we do check, are other teams working on something? Yeah.
When you get lots of submissions that hit the 10,000
Yes.
votes that are the same, so there's multiple Jumanjis, there's multiple Blueys, etc. How do you handle making decisions on, if any of those are picked, which fan designer you're picking or working with, and especially if they're like very similar?
Yeah, and that's, we usually see that with IPs, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the challenge.
Exactly.
Everyone's submitting the same IP.
Yeah.
So we have to look at, you know, a lot of them are maybe in different scales or using maybe way more minifigures than we could probably put in a set. So we kind of evaluate it as we would with any other submission, and try and find the best possible ideas submission that we could then take to be a product. But it is a challenge for sure.
I think also we've been in situations before where they are basically almost identical.
Yeah.
And if it's in the same review, we've actually had more dialogues about should we just split it and say they both get picked, and then we kind of do like a dual type of agreement. We haven't done it yet.
Okay.
Could come. I think the Lego Ideas fan designer, the ultimate, fan designer, is a brilliant designer, but they are also a brilliant marketeer, right?
Yeah.
Because that's the essence of Lego Ideas. You need to make people vote for it. So however you make people vote for it, don't pay for it, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that. We picked that up as well. Just
Yeah.
but I think you won't be held. It won't be held against you. We, as I mentioned, we have a lot of data points that we go in and look for and screen for. But it's that's how it is.
Great.
I've got a question about the parking lot. That's
Yes.
a relatively new concept to, potentially give more time for Lego Ideas to make these things come to life. Is it possible to look back at all the review results from the past where there have been really good submissions and retroactively add them to the parking lot?
No.
Short and sweet answer.
Then you would, if you wanted something, then you would ask said fan designer to resubmit to Lego Ideas, get 10,000 votes, and then maybe.
I was thinking, is this kind of the right way to go for? Because I mean, if you didn't pick the model, then maybe he has already the big fan base. He's doing it again, again. I'm not saying that it's
No,
a
but
wrong
it's
thing.
a
I'm just
fairness
wondering-
question for
Yeah.
sure. I think we see some that repeat themselves, and we will see the same submission with no changes actually after like 4 times in a row.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a reason we decline it, right?
Yeah.
But now we have the parking lot, so I think if it's in the parking lots, that's because it's actually something that we are actively considering still and still need to check out. If and then there are those, as Jordan say, that I don't know why don't want to work with us, right? Then we cannot put them in the parking lot. They just have to get a decline. I love to see them come back because sometimes that is what is needed to convince someone to work with us because they will see what the community says. But to be honest, I prefer people change the submissions a little bit before resubmitting. They need to show that they improved it. That's actually also written in the terms. So I would always ask people to just go in and optimize it so there is a higher likelihood to get picked.
Thank you.